We didn't know exactly when the Senate trial of Donald Trump would begin, but apparently it's coming soon, according to Chuck Schumer.
Make no mistake, there will be a trial, and when that trial ends, senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection against the United States.
This is a serious matter, buddy. What are you doing over there? Chuck Schumer, jokester. But anyway, erection or not, Donald Trump is potentially gonna have to answer for what he did. That transmission that he referred to there of the documents from the House to the Senate will trigger preparations for a trial that could start as early as next week. But Senate leaders indicated that they may delay it, potentially for a few weeks so that Trump can organize his defense, which in the end I'm sure is going to be amazing. Remember, as we talk about this, that a conviction requires a 2/3 majority, which means at least 17 Republicans would have to join all of the Democrats, which would be something, because there were 10 Republicans that joined the Democrats in the House, and that was the most bipartisan effort ever. There were way more Republicans in the House to turn over, and so I don't know about the 17. What do both of you think about this? Both about the schedule, that it is going to be happening relatively soon, and also the prospects that it might actually go somewhere.
One, I don't know if this is just derailing this too much, but it's incredible that we're looking at Pelosi and Schumer again as the leaders of the Democratic Party. It's just amazing. We keep doubling down with this old guard. Look, the Republicans in office are disingenuous and they're opportunists. So they'll do whatever's in their best interest, and that's always been their calculus. And that probably will be a non-event, and a lot of them are hoping to pick up a lot of these Trump supporters along the way. But that's been their calculus for a long time. There's no one so smart, they're a US senator, and so dumb that they don't believe in climate change, or they believe that there's widespread voter fraud. It's not a real thing. And so you can almost insert any topic, any issue, and say they'll do whatever best suits them in that particular environment.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what's in the best interest of the Republican Party and what's in the best interest of individual Republican senators might be at odds here. Mm-hmm. So it's at the best interest of the party, maybe to break free of Donald Trump, who was unable to win the presidency and got progressively less popular as he contested a free and fair election. And so finding those votes and ensuring that he can't run again in 2024 is maybe of interest to the party as a whole, and may even be of interest to individual senators who want to run in 2024. Why wouldn't a Tom Cotton or a Ted Cruz vote to convict and knock out their leading challenger for the Republican nomination? However, if they do want to pick up what is still a very large, overwhelming majority of Republicans who support Donald Trump, then it's not in their interest, as Cruz made very clear and Josh Hawley made very clear when they went ahead with objecting to the Electoral College count. So that's the thing that has to be managed here. And everyone's looking at Mitch McConnell. I mean, McConnell has sort of floated out this idea that he may vote to convict. And if he does, he might be able to bring enough with him to actually make it happen. I'm a little skeptical, but I think McConnell is the key here. As far as what this means, this whole trial, it means that you're not going to really get a whole lot done in the U.S. Senate. Now, there already is this question of when there will be an agreement on the sharing of power in a 50-50 Senate. McConnell and Schumer are discussing this. McConnell wants a guarantee that the Democrats will never abolish the filibuster, and Schumer has said, "Go pound sand. We're not doing that." But this only increases the delay. And right now, the committees are set up under the old system. So nobody new has been added to a committee, which means Republicans are in charge of all the committees in the Senate right now. So it's in McConnell's favor to delay on this and to just elongate the timeline. Biden needs to get his nominees through. We have legislation on the table, a $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that is harder to get through when the Senate is not organized. And you have this impeachment trial. So if McConnell's idea is to just gum up the works and delay, then he's all for having an impeachment trial right now, just as as long as it can possibly go, and elongate out this power sharing agreement as much as he can possibly do.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, obviously, the question of what is going to end up happening, if anything, with the filibuster is one of the most important questions for the next, well, for the rest of American history, but for the next 2 years, especially if the Democrats want to actually accomplish anything. Look, personally, as someone who thinks that it needs to be abolished for the Democrats to accomplish anything, or for the federal government to actually function, I want Mitch McConnell to be as much of a D as he can, and really cause a lot of problems and put a lot of pressure on Schumer to move on this immediately, to not wait 6 months of reaching out your hand, wasted time. I hope that might happen. Now,
well, the pressure doesn't need to only be on Schumer, right? The pressure needs to be on Joe Manchin, on Kyrsten Sinema, on John Tester, on these members of the Democratic caucus who have expressed opposition to abolishing the filibuster. I mean, there is a sense, it's amazing that you still have to do this, but there is a sense that Schumer needs McConnell to obstruct so he can go back to those people and say, see, if you want to get anything done in the next 2 years, if you want to keep the gavels that you have, we have to do this because McConnell is showing his hand. It's incredible that you even have to do that at this point, though.
Yeah, that is definitely true. The question will be for some of them, how much, like, does Manchin really feel a fire to make sure that a lot is done? Maybe, we'll see, maybe not. In terms of the actual, like, whether convicting Trump and barring him from running, I think that your read is right. Like, theoretically, for some of the most ambitious Republican senators, it's in their interest the most to block him, except that they don't want to be the ones to do it because then he might turn his cannons on them in a year and a half. All of them are interested in it happening. None of them want to be in the 17 that make it happen. But one extra wrinkle that I would throw out is I think that you're right that from Mitch McConnell's point of view, the Republicans who are a little bit maybe more interested in the future of the Republican Party than in their own political aspirations, they might want to block him out because they don't want him running again. And I get that. But there's also this, sort of very early talk about him forming a third party. I would imagine that might even be more horrifying from the Republican point of view. If he were to, pull a sort of faux populist Ross Perot sort of situation in a few years, that could make it incredibly difficult for Josh Hawley to win as the Republican nominee. So I wonder if that might be a consideration that they'll be thinking about.
Xander, did you want to take that or?
No, I think your calculus is correct in that there's folks who could really benefit from Trump not being a force in the Republican Party anymore, but the blowback is just probably too much for a lot of those people. And so I think you're dead on there. And I don't think maybe in the Republican Party of old, right, the John McCain, Mitt Romney Republican Party, there was enough there in terms of allegiance to the party. But I just think a lot of those folks have been washed out, and it really is just opportunists who have rode this wave to get in. I don't see a lot of those folks really actually caring that much about the collective.
Yeah. Well, we also know that Donald Trump in this interim period is assembling his defense team. Technically, he's been playing golf every day, but someone is assembling his defense team. No, really, he has actually been golfing. I would too, honestly. I don't even golf. I would golf right now. Those last 4 years have got to have been stressful for him. But anyway, he's hiring South Carolina-based lawyer Butch Bowers, who I think is the alter ego of someone in the MCU. But anyway, Bowers was counsel to Governor Mark Sanford when he faced impeachment in the South Carolina House in 2009. He also served in the Justice Department in President George W. Bush's administration. So like with virtually every lawyer in the country, I'm not familiar with this person. But the question I have for you is, does Trump's defense in this matter? Or is it just each individual senator is going to make a calculation based on what effect voting for him to be convicted or not? Like, do we think that there is some narrative that they could push in this defense some big thing to draw attention? Like, does it actually matter what they do, or is that sort of a sideshow to, do I want to convict the guy who might wreck my career?
I think it's a sideshow. This played out on television. It was one of the most watched events of the last several years. Right. Everybody knows what happened. The president spoke, and not just what he did on that day, on January 6th, but what he did for the preceding 2 months. That was a very public process of contesting the results, inciting the flames of and the passions of his supporters, culminating in January 6th. So if you don't have an opinion on this by now, I don't know what's wrong with you. So this is, and ultimately impeachment is a political matter. I mean, and we saw that. We saw that in the House vote. It was a political matter, and most House Republicans decided to stick with the president, and the ones that didn't, I mean, Liz Cheney is being kind of sent a message right now that her leadership is not wanted in the Republican Party because she voted against Donald Trump. And that must be weighing on senators right now who are ambitious, as you said, and maybe see themselves rising through the ranks of the Republican Party. They have to contend with the fact that the one person that was in a leadership position that went against Trump is now seeing the potential for her leadership powers to be stripped.
Yeah, no doubt it's the latter. For all the reasons David stated. Look, his last defense was, what I did was in the best interest of the United States, and therefore it's fine, because me being in a leadership position is in the best interest of the United States. Like the defense was non-existent the last time around, so I don't know why it would play a bigger role this time.
Yeah, that is certainly possible. It is also possible that as one of his defense tactics, he might organize a massive crowd, which would sort of prove the point of the need for it. But anyway.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.